We could leave the lights on, suntan. We could get lunch. Oh man, I think that I like you. Yeah, but something bugs me about the way you lick your envelope. So I'm out on the block again, so popped up that I can't pretend. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Hands up, feel okay. It's hard to break the day. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Slip me in your pocket. You know way out. Oh man, was that your last piece? Come on, we both bought it, so I know that you're not giving the whole truth. Yeah, what can you say? I never read the package anyway. I'm out on the block again, so popped up that I can't pretend. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Hands up, feel okay. It's hard to break the day. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. I'm out on the block again, so popped up that I can't pretend. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Hands up, feel okay. It's hard to break the day. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. We could leave the lights on, suntan. We could get lunch. Oh man, I think that I like you. Yeah, but something bugs me about the way you lick your envelope. So I'm out on the block again, so popped up that I can't pretend. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Hands up, feel okay. It's hard to break the day. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Slip me in your pocket. You know way out. Oh man, was that your last piece? Come on, we both bought it, so I know that you're not giving the whole truth. Yeah, what can you say? I never read the package anyway. I'm out on the block again, so popped up that I can't pretend. Stay friends, problem that you can't defend. Hands up, feel okay. It's hard to break the day. Stay friends, problem that you can't
circumcise my love for you. It's far too vapid and nameless. I wanna be painless. Love soldier, I want closure. And $1 for the bus back home. Oh, euthanize my heartbeat. I'd say pouring the concrete. The deified love me. Madonna, oh, rare fauna. And you wanna ride the bus solo. How could you be so cruel? How could you be so? Oh, circumcise my love for you. It's far too vapid and nameless.
Set the phases to run. What's got you distraught? It's negative attention at best. But call it nothing. Maybe something a little bit, maybe something to it's all about ascension. Alone at the edge of a universe, humming a I guess don't put me to rest. Go on and
Hello and welcome to the Craftman Show. My name is your host, the Craftman. In today's video, we're going to talk about sculpting wax, clay wax that you can modify, sculpt, use to make your own little creations, figurines, but also that can be even used for casting and further modifications of your existing things. So what got me interested in trying monster clay to begin with? A little while back I got this book called Pop Sculpture about sculpting, how to create action figures and collectible statues. The action figure, the thing that I keyed in on. It goes into a lot of the traditional style, sculpting, hand sculpting. It even goes into mold making. So if you're interested in resin casting, all that, it goes into all kinds of little things. It even talks about joints and things, action figure joints. Now, I will say that I probably would recommend this for grown-ups because, some of the pictures is some of the ladies in this thing is just kind of like, scantily clad type of situation. But other than that, accessories. Look at that. But other than that, this is a really wonderful book about traditional style sculpting. Different types of materials, castelline, polymer clay, different things like that. All the different ways that you can make your own formulas. You can mix crayons and wax, get different color, get different consistency. And that's where I began to become so fascinated by this. If you are interested in making your own sculpting wax, I have included a video in the description. Mr. Scott Hempstead will show you the formula, but I will go ahead and tell you that you probably will have to come up with your own color for this.
And then we use crayons for the coloring, but I'm not going to tell you how many red ones I use. Use my recipe, but come up with your own color. I think that's fair.
Lots of good information in that video. But today, we're going to be reviewing a product that is available to you that is the best of both worlds. Can be sculpted like clay and then work like wax. Alright, so when you first open up Monster Clay, you're probably going to feel on this and say, mercy, I ain't going to be able to sculpt this. I can't mash it, smash it, nothing. It feels about like a brick. You can just heat up this whole thing and melt it down. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But if you wanted to get started right off the bat, get you something like a spoon, a butter knife. Let me show you this. Let me just cut off a piece of this right there. And what you're going to notice is that relatively quickly it's going to go from being very firm, almost seemingly unworkable, into a consistency that's very nice, very pliable. As you get to handling in your hands and get to kneading and rolling it, it's going to warmify that clay. See that? And that right there is a pretty good starting point when you're getting ready to sculpt. The way you're going to approach probably a sculpting with monster clay or with any wax type clay is that you will get it to a warm state that you can really move things around quickly and then cool it off, let it cool off naturally to where it can accept details, and things in it. I don't know what that's a bad example of me showing that, but anyway. So one process that is oftentimes used by toy makers and sculptors in general is they take just regular old sulfur-free clay that you can get and will go ahead and make that little character and just get the broad shapes. This is right, probably not the best example, but so let's just say you got your little figure and then pour silicone and make a mold of that clay figure. And then they take that silicone mold and then pour wax down into it. All right. And let that cool off. Pop that out. Then you got a hard wax copy of your original that you can really refine and get the smoothness to it. Because wax works a lot different than clay. All right. For details, for getting really sophisticated. So many figures are made that way with sculpted in a hard wax. It just finishes a lot different. What I am showing y'all today can be worked like a clay, but then finished, treated like a wax. So it is both a sculpting material and a casting material that's going to allow a whole world of possibilities to you. Instead of just scraping this off here all day, what we going to do? Let's just heat this whole thing up. Now for today, I decided to try the crock pot. I have been told that you can use a microwave. However, please be careful because the microwave will tend to create a melted pocket right in the middle of the clay. A hot clay can come busting squirt out of it. Please do not do that. Please. In fact, I would recommend not even using a microwave at all, just to be safe. That is if you even own a microwave. Craftsman does not own a microwave. Anyway, crock pot. It was already switched to high, but normally you would say, start out in the off position and then say, low, high. I'm about to take the camera off the tripod and then mount it up on this right there. I probably need to do me a time lapse video. Alright. Now once it gets to this point, then you got all kinds of possibilities. First of all, you could just take you and scoop out some of this, let it cool off, start using it. Obviously you don't want to just reach up in here while it's hot, but you can take, let me show you, and hold you some right on a spoon, and it's still pretty good and warm. But let me just see here. All right. All right, and notice how already it's kind of peeling off my glove right there. You can see how just in a short little time it gets to a real good working with consistency. And you can roll this stuff around. I know it looked real messy there for a minute. You can roll it all around. And that's another good thing I would point out is that with your tools and things, this waxy
Please specify a project. Please specify a project. Clouds approaching. Please specify a project. Please select a mission. Unit dispatched. Please specify a project. Please select a mission. Caution, rain approaching. Please select a mission. Deploying. The map has been
No
updated.
doubt about it, boss.
Analysis
That
complete.
man is your extraction target. Emmerich. The weapon system that disappeared into that cave, and the man who was with it. Emmerich must know something about what's going on.
Outpost
He was
captured.
transferred to the Soviets' base camp. I've marked it on the map. Make your way to that base camp.
Has been updated.
Hydroid. That's an enemy gunship. A single burst from his machine gun can cut a man in half. Tread carefully, boss.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Development project has been added. Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Did you see that, boss? That giant weapon system that disappeared into the cave? I've heard it was the Kremlin's biggest secret. But to think that doctor has been working on it. And the man with the skull for a face. It's been on my mind since you encountered the skulls during the Honeybee mission. It's really him. Boss, he's the commander of Cypher Strike Force XOF. Probably the mastermind of the attack 9 years ago. I thought he and Zero parted ways. I'll look into it. You just focus on the mission.
Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated. Extraction arrived at Mother Base. Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated. Extraction arrived at enemy presence detected. The map has been updated. Extraction arrived at Mother Base. Enemy presence detected. The map analysis complete. Analysis complete. Enemy presence detected. Extraction arrived at Mother Base. Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
A bipedal weapon system. The same model as the one in the cave?
Presence
Looks like
detected.
they're about ready to start deploying it.
Weather will clear shortly. Analysis complete.
You gonna extract him?
Analysis complete. You have arrived at your destination. Arrived at your destination. Analysis complete. Extraction.
I'm sending a chopper close by. Get to the LZ with Emmerich.
Hang on a second. Let's use the walker gear I developed to escape.
Mission
There's a
info
special
has
one
been
here at the
updated.
lab.
The map has been
Only I can
updated.
activate it, and I'll tell you how to operate it.
Ignore Emmerich. We don't need his wind-up toys. It is a long way there. Why don't you use that walker gear of his? No way. We can't trust him. How do we know his crap will even work? Well, it's better than carrying the man the whole way. Boss, use the walker gear to escape. It's your call, boss.
I was developing a bipedal weapon for the Soviet Union. It hasn't been deployed yet. I was doing mobility testing. Once the walker gear is finished, they'll have a
Support helicopter requested.
And once they add my masterpiece into the equation, this war will be over. The Soviets will win.
He was developing bipedal weapons for the Soviets. If that's the case, what's Cypher's interest in it? strike force. It was Emmerich who brought them there. He's been underground ever since, working with Cypher.
Please
I had
select
no
a landing
idea.
zone.
I thought the inspection was real. I swear it. If anyone's to blame, it's you, Snake. We should never have had that.
This is Pequod.
That's the
I've
reason
arrived
why
at
the
LZ.
base was destroyed.
Stand by.
Support helicopter has arrived.
Cypher threatened to kill me. Made me do research for them here. That's right. Creating bipedal weapons. 9 long years. Forced to do whatever they said.
Extraction arrived at
Get out of
Methodist.
there, boss. Quick's extraction comes first. Head for the LZ. This is Pequod. If you don't get away from that thing, it'll bring down the chopper. See if it slips up now. Behind your operation. Stay alert. You're not out of the woods yet. All right, the chopper's touching down. Don't waste any time getting on board. Don't forget Emmerich. Get behind something. Flawless work. You never cease to amaze, boss. Here he comes. Use the chopper's minigun. Take him off.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
Yes, mission complete. Boss, that was exceptional.
Please select a mission. Please specify a project. Please specify a project. Please select a mission. Mission accepted. Heading to Central Africa. Deploying.
Rescue the 2 prisoners being held in a guard post to the southwest of Ngumba Industrial Zone. The targets are civilians. 1 male, 1 female. Apparently they're specialists sent out there to investigate infectious diseases. They were frequent visitors to that devil's house at Nzoyabadibu. If you recover them, we'll finally be able to get first-hand accounts of what's been going on in that place.
Outpost captured. Be careful down there, boss. Captured. The map has been updated. Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated. Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
Boss, an enemy squad is on its way to the guard post. Watch yourself.
Extraction arrived at Metabase. You have arrived at your destination. Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. The map has been updated.
That looks like the target.
What's going on?
Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
All right, target extracted. Now extract the remaining target. Amazing, boss. Getting both prisoners out in that situation.
Has been
Great
updated.
work. Now exfiltrate.
Please select a landing zone. Support helicopter
Roger.
requested. Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
This is B-Quad. Arriving shortly at LZ. This is B-Quad. On station at LZ.
Gaining altitude.
Departing. Yes, mission complete. Boss. Place it.
Heading to FOB.
successfully sneak your way into the heart of the rival PF's FOB, you can capture staff from them. I'll be looking forward to meeting the new recruits, boss.
The map has been updated.
Be careful down there, boss. successful. All units on alert.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
Boss, the rival PF knows who we are. Better step up FOB security in case they retaliate.
Please specify a project. Heading to FOB. Deploying.
Successfully sneak your way into the heart of the rival PF's FOB, and you can capture staff from them. I'll be looking forward to meeting the new recruits, boss.
The map has been updated.
Be careful down there, boss.
Infiltration failed. Are you hurt? Try a little harder next time.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base. Heading to FOB. Deploying.
Successfully sneak your way into the heart of the rival PF's FOB, and you can capture staff from them. I'll be looking forward to meeting the new recruits, boss.
The map has been updated.
Be careful down there, boss.
Clouds approaching.
Mission successful.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
Boss, the rival PF knows who we are. Better step up FOB security.
Heading to FOB. Deploying.
Successfully sneak your way into the heart of the rival PF's FOB, and you can capture staff from them. I'll be looking forward to meeting the new recruits, boss.
The map has been updated.
successful.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base. Please specify a project. Please specify a project. Please select a mission.
CTU.
The late 2000s to early 2010s had loads of cover shooters. Big muscly man game, hitting on aliens the video game, and who could forget Eat Lead, the return of Matt Hazard.
It's pretty obvious you're not the brains of the operation. Who's in charge?
Best be on your way before I make me some pig sushi.
I'm sorry. Did I miss something in the script? Is this game set in 1972?
If games in that era weren't cover shooters, they at least had cover mechanics, like GTA 4, which is called that because a whole 4 people actually used the cover system. Now, why am I talking about cover shooters? This should be another video about a character who has the entire game take place in his head. Well, instead, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite bad games, Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days.
The fuck?
A game so old that I remember buying items for my avatar from the Xbox 360 store. Also, before I jump into the video, feel free to subscribe. Only a small percentage of you are subscribed from this chart I made up in Photoshop. It's totally free, and if you change your mind, please stay subscribed and instead make an angry Twitter thread about how much I fell off. Thank you. Now, I do want to remind you, Ken and Lynch 2 is objectively a bad game. A quick example is me booting up the game, and on the first level, the guy I was supposed to be chasing had his pathfinding broken, so just looked at me angrily while I emptied several hundred 50 cal rounds into his head. Not to mention, if you have the game on PC, any secondary monitor will black screen permanently until you tab out or close the game. Reviews at the time ranged from mediocre to 1 out of 10 epic fail. Oh my god, you can tell this review was wrote in 2010. Let epic 9gag firing my laser, eh? It's over 9,000. Everything with this game is just so broken. The gunplay is horrendous, with bullets never traveling where you aim. The worst offender being the starting SMGs, which is the equivalent of save scumming a terminal in Fallout 3 until something happens. Meanwhile, the shotguns are basically sniper rifles, being able to travel across continents to dome anyone. If anything, they're probably up there with the Battlefield 3 frag round shotguns before they were nerfed into the abyss.
This is my rifle.
In that game, pre-patch, if you clicked mouse 1 anywhere on the map, you'd kill 30 people on a different server with the splash damage. It's actually great looking at these compilations 10 years later and seeing all the dislikes. Probably because they were killed the exact same way. They'd go deaf from the explosion, then blind, and then die anyway. Meanwhile, Dog Days has no grenades, replacing them with fuel cans that can be thrown to take out groups of enemies. When you throw a can, the game makes any bullet you fire afterwards instantly home in on the can to blow it up. This feature is actually so generous that the explosive doesn't even have to be on screen for you to detonate it. You can take enemies hostage, but this does literally nothing because enemies don't stop firing and bullets pass right through the hostage into you. And the only weapon you're allowed to equip when you do this is the starting pistol. You can execute them for a finisher that will probably make you partially deaf, or throw them. And when this prompt came up, I thought it'd be a kind of sleeping dog style execution, like throwing them off a balcony. But instead, you propel them about 3 inches. If that isn't bad enough, chances are your AI partner will shoot your hostage anyway, knocking you down to the ground. The game also really lacks enemy variety. It's just people with guns. I mean, some people later on have better guns, but there's no change in enemy type or tactics, which is something you don't even really notice because how short the game is, only being 4 hours long, which means I now get to use the clip of Angry Joe saying that.
4 hours!
But all of these are small little nitpicks, and that's why the final verdict for Kane and Lynch 2 is a legendary 10 out of 10. It is fucking badass.
And as terrible as this game is, I still love it. The fact it's so broken and shoddy perfectly works in tandem with the world the game's set in.
Kane, help me do this!
And also, that isn't an excuse. The devs definitely didn't make this game bad on purpose.
Whoa, that is a lot of lumbosacral flexibility.
It just hits that line of so bad it's good, especially with the art style. For those wondering why I'm jumping straight into the sequel and not the original, it just sucks. Not in a good way, it's just plain bad. Have we got to talk about the first? We do? Oh, all right, fine, man. Jesus. Kane and Lynch Dead Men came out in 2007 and was given a giant by everyone that played it. If you're wondering why this game looks familiar, it's because it was developed by IO Interactive and published by Eidos, the same companies that worked on Hitman Blood Money, an actually good game that I wish I could talk about right now. The aiming is just as atrocious as the sequel. There's no cover button, so you awkwardly snap into whatever cover you're near. There's not even a reload button, so you have to purposely empty your mag to get a new one. And later in the game, when you manage to get a squad, your dead men, they're just a liability, as you have to go and revive them every single time they get downed, because any of your remaining squad that try to revive someone usually get mowed down as well. Jeff Gerstmann, an employee for GameSpot, did a review saying pretty much everything I just said.
Kane and Lynch Dead Men is an ugly, ugly game.
And shortly after, was fired from GameSpot. And years later confirmed that he was actually fired because he didn't score Kane and Lynch high enough, citing that he couldn't be trusted. Jeff then went off to start Giant Bomb, so Kane and Lynch is the entire reason Giant Bomb even exists today. Jeff gave the game a 6 out of 10, by the way, which isn't even that bad.
Not good.
The first game starts off with Kane being sent to death row after being convicted of using ad block on a YouTuber he likes to watch.
Kane, wake up. Mr. Kane. What? Just cover your head now!
He's busted out by his old gang called the Seven. You don't need to know who they are, it's not important, and they're not in the sequel. They believe that Kane stole all their money and give him 3 weeks to retrieve it, or they'll game end his wife and daughter. Something Breaking Bad would shamelessly steal 4 years later.
I will kill your infant daughter.
Kane is teamed up with Lynch, who basically acts as the Seven's watchdog, making sure that Kane stays in line. The ironic thing is, Lynch is probably as mentally stable as the average subscriber on this channel, having blackouts and killing innocent civilians in paranoid delusions. There's actually a cool feature in the co-op mode where anyone playing as Lynch will have their screen distort and see all the civilians as cops. This would probably make the co-op player kill all the civilians in a delusion, thinking they're protecting themselves, when they could probably just look to the other side of the TV because it was split screen.
Then just back off. I'm a little fucking edgy, all right?
To be fair, though, that's actually a really good feature. Not something I saw again until Dead Space 3 or Fear 3, where only one character would see something happening on screen. The entire game is pretty much Kane making progress to get the money, only for Lynch to completely mess it up. Oh, Kane robbed a bank and got half the money back already. Time for Lynch to kill everyone they took hostage. Oh, Kane took a crime lord's daughter hostage so they can get the rest of the money. And the crime lord wants to help Kane wipe out the Seven. Time for Lynch to accidentally shoot and kill her.
Stay down! Lynch!
I mean, the game has a pretty cool urban setting initially. City streets, the rooftop of a conglomerate Japanese building that I played about 50 times on the Xbox 360 as a demo. But the third act is just copy-paste Cuban jungles, just making it another bland third-person shooter. And honestly, if you really want to play Kane and Lynch Dead Men because you're a psychopath, it's been removed off Steam indefinitely. You can buy it off the Square Enix store, which I did, but it's essentially unplayable without workarounds because it uses Games for Windows Live. Now, if you don't know what Games for Windows Live is, that's good. Please stop watching the video and enjoy your life not knowing what the ninth circle of hell incarnate was like. Games for Windows Live was essentially a way for people to cross-play from Xbox to PC. I remember using it to play Shadowrun on the Xbox 360. The main feature was to make anyone stop playing their Xbox and buy a PC because how overpowered a mouse was to a controller. But that wasn't the problem. Games for Windows was so broken that it had a 50% chance of totally corrupting your save file to any game you signed up with it. And it would never work without an internet connection, even offline games. And you couldn't even copy your files because they were encrypted in case Microsoft thought you wanted to hack the achievements. Now, after all that, you probably don't want to sign up with Games for Windows Live. That's great, I'm happy for you, but now you can't play the game at all. Enjoy. Pretty much every company that wasn't Microsoft hated this DRM. That's why in the remaster of Red Faction Guerrilla, a game all about destroying things, they added a map that had the acronym for Games for Windows Live for you to obliterate.
Fuck you, Microsoft!
So, why do I despise Kane and Lynch, but love Kane and Lynch 2, despite them being the same game? Well, that's the thing, they're really not. Take any two clips of Kane and Lynch Dead Men and Dog Days and you can tell there were huge changes. Not really in gameplay, but visuals. Dog Days just looks filthy. It has this amazing visual style I've never seen in a video game, making even Outlast's camcorder look pristine in comparison. It's an ugly game, especially if you consider games like Halo Reach, Red Dead, Alan Wake, Mass Effect 2, Dead Rising 2 all came out in the same year. But to be fair, in the game's defense, Fallout New Vegas also came out in that year as well. That is one of the best games ever made, but those graphics, it looks like ass, man. Come on, no one's defending that. You can download 300 shader mods. You cannot fix this. The entire game has this washed out look, like it's been filmed on an iPhone after the latest iOS update. Whenever you take damage, the camera glitches out for a second, almost like the footage is corrupting. Lights have an unnatural lens flare, like I'm watching a Hideo Kojima cutscene. Even words from neon signs reflecting onto the camera lens. There's an overuse of chromatic aberration, so everything looks like a Minecraft YouTuber's thumbnail. There's a lot of macro blocking here as well. A video artifact where footage looks like it's made of small squares as opposed to proper detail and smooth edges. edges. It all sells that feeling that this is a raw, disgusting world and we're just observing. The game would even freeze unintentionally at certain points, but at the time I thought it was just part of the aesthetic, like the footage itself had become corrupted over time. The muzzle flash from fired guns distorts the screen, and huge barreling LMGs you get later on in the game can literally deafen you, as the audio software in the camcorder can't pick up the sounds with such high decibels. When you run, the camera shakes to a nauseating degree, almost like you're being followed by a real cameraman. You can disable shaky cam in the options, but it just makes the game feel a lot more static and safe. It goes from something unique to a more conventional and boring cover shooter. One thing you can't disable is any of the camera effects. They're literally baked into the game. When you hit checkpoints, it shows how long the tape's been recording, and when you die, the camera drops to the ground as if the cameraman himself literally got capped. We're watching found footage that's already been edited by the fact scoring headshots will sometimes blur out the person's entire face, as not to unsettle the audience back home, or at least until they add a live leak logo in the corner. The genius part is, headshots in the game aren't even that gory. It's not like pieces of brain are being splattered. It's just a simple entry wound that will sometimes randomly have the blur kick in, implying the death was much more gruesome than it actually was. Loading screens don't load, they buffer the next recording, and the screens themselves display previews of what the camera had already captured that day, almost like the thumbnail of a YouTube video. You'll hear Kane and Lynch talking about their next move while GSM interference plays in the background.
It's me. Call me back. I fucked up bad. We gotta get out of the city. Disappear.
The game has no real soundtrack apart from these invasive, oppressive sounds that could honestly fit into the other world in a Silent Hill game. Only to be completely contrasted by upbeat Chinese music that almost parodies how grim the game can be sometimes. Dog Days takes place entirely in Shanghai, China's biggest city and global financial hub. Like any major city, it's beautiful as it is seedy. The perfect setting for these two horrible characters to meet up. The main menu screens consist of various shots of Shanghai as handheld footage films whatever's happening. A plane taking off, the freeway with Chinese music playing from the car's radio, even a hotel room with a noise complaint nearby. It's something you'd see on a YouTube channel in 2010 with about 5 views, but that's the point. It emulates that found footage aesthetic perfectly. Akan Abrak, CEO of IO Interactive, said he wanted Kane and Lynch 2 to pursue realism more than the first game. Saying the team was inspired by Michael Mann movies like Heat, a film about heists and public shootouts with police, with the Blair Witch and early YouTube being the inspiration for the handheld camera aesthetic. It's some guy just checking out his mobile phone and recording something that's happening, something weird or interesting. Kane and Lynch 2 does mention what happened the previous game, but it doesn't make it its foundation.
How's your daughter? She's fine. I mean, after what she went through...
I said she's fine, okay? Don't start fucking around.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And that's it. The only mention of the previous game is an offhand attempt of Lynch trying to small talk to Kane and him not want to go on about it. Almost self-aware to how panned the original game was. Jenny was Kane's surviving daughter in the first game, her mum. Kane's wife was killed by the Seven, but Jenny survives. In the climax of the game, you have the choice to save your squad from what's left of the Seven's mercenaries, or leave everyone behind to save Jenny. Both of these endings have terrible outcomes. If you leave with Jenny, she calls you a traitor, abandoning your squad to save yourself. All while Lynch looks on in disgust. If you do try to save your squad, one of them is already dead, and the other has nothing but resentment towards you. He then tries to escape on his own and gets blown up. Only then for your daughter, who's been following you all along, to get shot. Barely escaping on the boat with a comatose daughter, Lynch tells you that you should have taken that chopper.
You should have taken that chopper.
And that was Jenny's only real chance at surviving. The paradox being, whatever ending you pick, you feel like you should have picked the other one.
I fucking knew it.
From the first second I fucking knew it.
In Dog Days, both of these endings are possible with this small exchange they have. Lynch either learned to move on from his resentment of being abandoned, or Jenny somehow made a kind of recovery after being shot. Dog Days acknowledges the first game, but that's where the references end. Instead of playing Kane like the first game, you play as Lynch, with the co-op character being Kane. The first game was about Kane getting revenge and Lynch just being in it for the ride. Eventually himself being betrayed by the Seven and having to team up with Kane to get revenge. Lynch is much more settled in the sequel. His schizophrenia isn't as prominent and he has permanent residency in Shanghai. The only reason they've met up again is because of an arms deal that could make both of them a lot of money, with Kane flying in from America, which from the intro alone you could tell didn't go to plan.
Lynch! I'll fucking kill you!
Dog Days is a depressing game. Murphy's Law is an adage. Simply put, anything that can go wrong will definitely go wrong. And that is this game summed up perfectly. These are two horrible men who, through some form of karma or divine intervention, find everything around them crumbling, even though they're trying to make some kind of amends. Halfway through the game, they become self-aware, knowing that they're the catalyst for all the pain and suffering around them.
Why do people always die around us? At least you got Jenny.
She doesn't want to know. Haven't spoken to her since Venezuela. One last shout. Get some money, settle down, she'd forgive me.
The thing is, it's always one last job with these two characters. One last job to make that money, but these are two people who will never be happy. Kane will always be chasing the affection of his surviving family.
Settle down, she'd forgive me.
And Lynch will be struggling with his mental illness and outbursts. There's no scene in Dog Days where Lynch loses it entirely and guns down innocent civilians. That co-op clip seems almost comedic in comparison. But during combat, you can hear him slowly break down, trying to suppress his mental illness before it gets the better of him.
You're in control. This is easy. You're the fucking man.
The entirety of Dog Days takes place over a couple of days, with most levels starting seconds after the previous level finishes, even being able to see the background of the previous level just in view. There's no shop in between levels to buy gear, you just take whatever you scavenged in the previous level. This all helps sell the idea that this gauntlet really doesn't end until the camera stops filming, and any downtime they do manage to find themselves in is quickly interrupted.
Shit! What? What the fuck?
With gameplay starting seamlessly, not even being able to relax during a loading screen.
This game is so visceral, so intense in your face that you're gonna be left without any skin left. Without any skin left.
The game begins with Lynch wanting to do a detour before the arms deal. He wants to teach someone a lesson who's been talking too much. A pretty terrible excuse to not set up the arms deal, which the game itself is self-aware about.
So when we're done playing gangster, I want to go to my hotel.
Yeah, sure.
Going into the room, you're attacked by the guy Lynch wanted to talk to. Now, most people would cut their losses and realize that it's way more trouble than it's worth, but this is Lynch, someone as mentally unstable as, well, a video game character. So forces Kane to push on getting the guy, even giving him a spare Desert Eagle he has just in case.
Here, take this! You're kidding! Just in case!
It's like an early 2000s B-movie full of plot holes and contradictions, but you don't question it because it's a video game, and now you get to shoot stuff. You chase the guy through other people's apartments, rooftops, back alleys, vendor stores, where eventually you meet resistance from the guy you're chasing, spamming every pre-order bonus he can to slow you down, in the form of hordes of gang members. A few at first, but then cars full of them, pouring out just to give some space between you and the guy you're chasing. And when you eventually confront him, he takes the girl hostage. There's an exchange of gunfire, the cameraman seemingly stumbling over so you can't make out who shot who, but the girl falls to her death, while the man you've been chasing cuts his own throat.
Hey! Relax!
Nothing really makes sense. You've shot up a good couple kilometers of Shanghai, all from an unnamed man to finish himself off anyway.
And as you can see, every single player has a device strapped to them that when they're eliminated, it pops.
At the minute, Kane and Lynch are both blissfully unaware of what happened, but when they do, it'll totally make sense as to why the man chose to game end himself instead of facing the consequences.
Hey, Glazer, it's Lynch. Yeah, he's here.
You'll take us to the docks now? All right, great. All right, you pick us up in 20? Okay, I'll see you soon.
Once you get the cargo to Africa, you'll get paid.
Chapter 2 starts being filmed in the back of the car like it's some Sting in a JCS video, with Kane and Lynch being picked up by their contact Glazer. Glazer is someone who fits perfectly into this game's rendition of Shanghai. He's corrupt, petty, and looks like Michael Caine if you rendered him on a PlayStation 2 engine.
So, how'd you like Shanghai, Kane?
It's fucked. I hate it.
Yeah, I love it too. You know you can get your hair washed and a shag for 51. Bloody brilliant. Yeah, I'll take you out sometime. This town was built for people like us.
Glazer is someone who revels in how broken Shanghai is. He's not someone that wants to do one last job like Kane. He's fairly older than the two and has been in the game longer and has no intention of leaving. He's found his place and he's happy where he is. Glazer is voiced by Jason Connery that, I'm not even joking here, is the son of Sean Connery, who played James Bond in the 60s and 80s. There's something beautifully ironic how different the roles are. A 00 agent that travels the world saving lives, and a scummy gun runner that can only talk about getting paid sex in his downtime. Your group is quickly attacked on the freeway, seemingly by the same gang that jumped you in the previous mission. All you can do now is protect Glazer's limo, because if you lose him, you lose the arms deal and your only point being in China.
Son of a bitch!
Something the game is incredibly self-aware about. The limo will slowly roll up on the street, but taking cover behind it is probably the worst idea because the limo will take damage faster than having an opinion in the YouTube comments. It's a chaotic fight. Gangsters pulling up in cars to push you with MAC-10s and Scorpions. The traffic on the other side of the road seemingly acting normal as if to not grab the attention of the firefight. All while civilians try to run away from the carnage or just sit in their car too terrified to move, hoping that if they stay still enough, they won't catch a stray bullet. My favorite part is when two bikers skid off their bikes and instead of being knocked over for a second, you're instantly killed as your kneecaps teleport to a different quantum reality. At one point, even Glazer's limo in a scripted scene is knocked over by a lorry and you have to help him out. It feels raw and frantic. You're not the Master Chief helping thwart the Covenant with your Gauss Cannon Warthog. You're barely scraping by, almost like you're a bystander in this game. One detail I love is how you have to help drag Glazer out of the limo, and all three of you stumble away from the crash. The driver, who was totally unmentioned, has to crawl out entirely on his own, with no option or prompt for you to pull him out. It shows how, like, openly selfish all of these characters are, like the driver was just another replaceable NPC. Eventually, the gang members are slowly replaced by cops, responding to the gunfire. Picking up their weapons is a huge upgrade to the imported SMGs and pistols the gang had, being replaced with semi-auto shotguns and high-precision revolvers. Being able to score a headshot when not in point-blank range is a blessing in this game, so it's always important to hoard long-range firearms.
The fuck just happened?
I don't know.
You! Shut it! Get that bloody door open! I'm gonna have a sodding heart attack!
Getting inside a garage, Glazer can call one of his seemingly endless contacts to get a pickup to escape the area. And I think this interaction perfectly encapsulates Glazer as a character.
Good idea! Finally, I'm getting my money's worth. You, what's the bloody number? Hello? Yes, me! We're in a situation! I need a pickup! Yeah. Well, I don't fucking care if your mum's got fucking head cancer!
The fact his model has a permanent Bluetooth earpiece in, something that was popular in the late 2000s, but seems almost ancient by today's standards. Also to note, there were like so many characters in media that were complete assholes that had Bluetooth earpieces in. I mean, for an example, even Breaking Bad had one.
Stacy's a cow. We're talking major barnyard boo hog.
We got a Breaking Bad reference in. I'm so happy, boys. This is also the first mention we have of Sing, someone Glazer and Lynch are almost accustomed to.
The pickup is on the way! We gotta hurry! This is Sting territory! Sing! You're fucking kidding!
This is someone Glazer is deeply afraid of. His shouty bravado from earlier is reduced to almost whispering, as he slowly comes to the realization of who's placed the hit on him.
This is not bloody happening! Not now! Fuck! Our deal was perfectly planned! Fucking hell! Not Sing!
fighting past more cops and even some K9 units. These ones don't initiate a quick time event like Call of Duty, by the way. They just instant kill you. Glazer and Lynch then give a bit more insight to who Singh is.
You have to tell me who this guy Singh is.
He's trouble. Drugs, prostitution, you name it. Nothing is beneath this cocksucker.
And he's a genius with a knife, if you know what I mean. Used to do business with him, way back when the Chinks still worshipped Western currency.
I love during that conversation, half the lip movement doesn't even trigger, and you have to stand completely still, because if you move, there's a chance the dialogue just wouldn't load. Again, AAA gaming is flawless. Singh is someone Glazer has dealt with, but doesn't want to. And keep in mind, Glazer is scum. So for him to be afraid of someone in Shanghai, that means they're really not a good character. I love how the roles are reversed here. I know you're playing as Lynch instead of Kane, but first game, Kane was teaching Lynch about how the world worked, but China is totally alien to Kane, so now Lynch has to do the world building for him. You can even cut off the dialogue early by kicking a door down, which reveals the next area you're fighting in.
Drugs, prostitution, you name it. Nothing.
Careful, mate.
I think it's perfectly symbolic, and I'm definitely giving the game too much credit here. But you can never just peek a door like in most games. You have to aggressively kick them open. This is across the whole game, and it never changes. This little event of Lynch nearly losing his life because of him being too aggressive and yet still kicking every single door down he comes across in the game, to me at least, shows that him and Kane cannot change as people. Also, if you really want to, you can just jump out the doorway and instantly die where the cameraman follows you, and he dies as well. After clearing out the remaining cops by spamming around 20 misplaced gas canisters, you escape into the getaway van where all of you are just as confused as to why anyone would place a hit on Glazer.
It's Singh's turn. Right? Got it? So you listen. You lot, you go talk to Singh. Find out anything you can.
I'm running a little late, but we ran into some trouble. We'll just meet at the restaurant.
After Singh's hit, Lynch and Kane are tasked with finding out why Singh wanted to hit Glazer in the first place. This is probably the only mission in the game that's somewhat similar to the original title. The first game was subtitled Dead Men, because Kane was betrayed and he broke into a prison to rescue his dead men. People who'd been marked by the Seven and helped Kane because all they wanted to do was get revenge. This is the only level in the game where you get friendly AI to cover you. The original had squad mechanics like sending them to places or choosing what guns they had, but there's none of that here. It's much more stripped down. Pretty much, you just help the people that aren't shooting you, hoping you can score some kills before they get shot themselves.
Don't worry. We'll see you later, Glazer. You might well get hostile, so only shoot if they shoot.
You start off with Tommy. I have no idea who he is. The game's subtitle calls him Tommy, and Kane and Lynch call him Tommy when he gets killed.
Kane, get back! Oh, shit. They shot Tommy.
By the way, I actually tried to save Tommy, but the guy that one-taps him is purposely out of view, so even if you angle yourself to shoot him, he's completely invincible until he kills Tommy. After which, he dies in a single shot.
Get back! What the fuck?
From the beginning of the game, Kane bringing his tiny luggage case, thinking this will just be a small job to get some money back home.
Time moves forward, and nothing changes.
But how far we've come, we know that that isn't the case anymore, and Kane confronts Lynch about how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a goddamn gang war! Shh! Keep it down! Singh might have some kind of beef with us, okay? We just gotta find out why. Well, I don't like it. Don't worry. Everything will work out fine. You'll be on that boat in a couple of days. There's too many secrets, Lynch. Too much bullshit. Yeah. Welcome to Shanghai.
Kane is voiced by Brian Bloom. You might have heard his voice in other titles like Varric Tethras in Dragon Age, and BJ Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein. He even voices Nick Reyes in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Although, no one really cares about that game except for the robot, let's be real.
I'm very sad.
He's also been a long-time writer for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is the most successful COD entry to date. And I know Call of Duty is a series that people meme on, which is, you know, for good reason. Currently on Warzone, I'm running the Scream character, jump sliding around, hoping I jump scare someone. But the guy has a pretty large portfolio and knows how to emulate a complete piece of shit mercenary. Lynch is voiced by Jarian Monroe. There's not too much info on him, apart from minor supporting roles.
I am C2N2,
but he did voice Dr. Kaufman in the original Silent Hill game. And I think it's perfectly fitting that Lynch, a paranoid pathological liar, is voiced by a guy that in Silent Hill was a paranoid pathological liar. Their alliance is fragile. Not that they'll kill each other the first chance they get, but more how they deeply dislike each other, but have an acknowledgement that if one abandons the other, they halve their chances of survival.
Move! Move! Lynch! Meet you down the car yard on your right!
Thank God. Thought we'd never see you guys.
The next gunfight is the most brutal. Even though you have the support with Glazer's group, it just means you're pitted against more enemies. Your teammates will randomly get headshot with the cameraman trying to blur out the footage so it doesn't get demonetized. It feels relentless, and the stress is getting to Lynch, forcing him to mumble incoherent nonsense to cope. I like this. I mean, sure, you can chalk it up to mumble rapping. What'd you say? But this is miles above seeing civilians as cops in the first game. This is someone who's having a complete breakdown and is trying their hardest to contain it through screaming and shouting, almost as a form of catharsis in the middle of a gunfight. Throughout the game, Lynch will have these moments that the game doesn't even subtitle. Mini freakouts and breakdowns like he's just about to snap. It's incredibly human, but just before he goes overboard and does something stupid, Kane manages to leash him back into control.
I'm tired!
It's much more subtle than the hallucinations from the first game and makes their relationship feel more genuine, even if they're both completely despicable. The plan now with you and Glazer's squad is to confront Singh, Lynch fully aware of how large your group is.
What's the plan now?
We go and talk to Singh.
Make it sound easy.
Now that we're hooked up with the others, we're unstoppable.
I mean, you are unstoppable. The rest of the gang has no match against you. And with a squad of AI teammates, the map becomes so overcrowded, you're even given choices to divert away from Glazer's squad, just to give the enemy AI a fair chance. The funny thing is about Glazer's squad, you'll probably recognize the majority of their voices. That's because pretty much all of them are voiced by Robin Atkin Downes, but you probably know him as the medic in Team Fortress 2.
Medic Gaming!
He does a variety of accents here: British, Scottish, Irish.
Filthy fucking animals.
I mean, they could have just hired more actors. I've got nothing wrong with this guy. He does a great job, but it's like having every character voiced by Nolan North.
So fuzzy!
You push past the workshops into the sleeping quarters where the group is so large they end up clipping into each other. Almost like the game, you know, wasn't designed for this many friendly AI.
Don't know how many men Singh's got guarding him.
Eventually, you find Singh and confront him. During my playthrough, I loaded my gun thinking it'd be a shootout with Singh. It was anything but.
You, beat it. Mr. Singh, I'm Lynch.
I know who you are.
Tell me about the hit on the freeway. You listen to me.
You're not gonna get anything out of him.
No, back off. This is what I do. You're coming with us.
You think you big man, oh big man, eh? Shooting girl.
What are you talking about?
You stupid man. You shoot wrong girl.
What girl?
Girl in market. Shang Si's daughter.
No, that couldn't be.
Shang Si is not happy. He will kill every one of you.
You wanker, Lynch. All this because of you? This
I'll
changes
tell
everything.
Shang Si about your loyalty. But you two.
Shit. Get back inside!
You've been betrayed, but honestly, you did it to yourself. The random guy you chased in the first chapter, Lynch quoted as teaching him a lesson, had major consequences. The girl that was shot by either of you two was the daughter of someone powerful, someone higher up than Singh. Singh was played up as this huge villain you'd take down, but he was just a bit player. His real employer is Shang-Chi. We're not sure who he is yet, but the fact Singh can stand up on his own to affirm dominance and Glazer's squad pretty much instantly turn on you shows that this is a terrifying character. That's why the guy in the beginning killed himself and why you're pretty much fucked. Suddenly you're put against Glazer's men who have all turned against you. So much suppressive fire that you couldn't possibly kill any of them through the smoke. Moving upstairs, past the broken windows, they call for a pickup. A minivan that you have to shoot until everyone inside dies. Banking on the hope that Glazer doesn't find out, because if any of them make it and snitch to him, he'll most likely turn on you as well.
We lay low. Pray that Glazer doesn't find out. This is serious.
Singh and his men retreat while the local police storm in, again, probably from the gunshots. And when you push them back and escape, Lynch finally gives some insight to how bad Shang-Chi is.
Looks like Singh's moved up in the world. Working for Shang-Chi. Who? Shang-Chi. Literally means big boss. And we shot his goddamn daughter. The girl with Brady.
I love that little chuckle he lets out, almost as acknowledgement for how fucked him and Kane are. Lynch calls his girlfriend Zhu as soon as the coast is clear.
Lynch, what have you gotten me into? Oh, man, I'm trying to think. I gotta call Sue. Put that away. Who is Shang-Chi? He's a big government official. The most dangerous type in the whole of fucking China. Shit, I can't stay here. Lynch, will this affect the deal? No, not if we keep low. Damn, Kane. I can't stand it. You can't find us. You can't find us.
Lynch knows he's lying to buy time. His entire life is crumbling. Him and his girlfriend aren't safe. He just doesn't want Kane to know that yet in case he abandons him as well. You can't say that China is a safe place while also saying an arms deal is gonna go down without a hitch. The next loading screen is Lynch calling his girlfriend, telling her that she's not safe.
Sue, call me back. I fucked up bad. We gotta get out of the city.
The Swansea is the restaurant that Lynch organized the three to eat at the start of the game. Almost as if Lynch is trying to call back to a time before shooting a corrupt government official's daughter and having a small army of gang members attack him. But that time has long come and gone.
What? What the fuck?
I love the uncertainty of who actually killed Shang-Chi's daughter. It went from Lynch blaming Kane entirely to him now taking partial responsibility for it.
Hey, I wasn't the only one who put a bullet in that girl.
The people attacking you here are entirely different to the gangbangers you've encountered before. They're cops. A trained kill squad sent personally for you carrying suppressed bullpup submachine guns, either paid off by Shang-Chi or tricked into thinking you're a terrorist threat. The entire restaurant falls apart. Lights shattering, the shoddy wooden walls can't stand against the suppressive gunfire. This is one of the few environments in the game that has that Battlefield Bad Company 2 level of destruction.
Come on, let's get going.
Yeah.
Shit, Lynch. How did the cops find us?
Don't know. Gotta get to Sue.
Think that's a good idea? She never turned up.
I love how he turns back to his neutral pose here. Like, this is the only budget they gave AI Kane throughout the whole game. That and pulling an SMG off a guy earlier. Before leaving, if you listen, you can even hear radio chatter in between forces converging on you, almost reminding me of the civil protection from Half-Life 2. Before leaving, you find the storage room where they've taken all of the kitchen staff hostage.
Jesus Christ.
People tied up. What kind of police are they?
Not my concern. Let's go.
After what Lynch says, you have no option to free them. You can kill them if you want, but surely this doesn't make you any better than the people who just jumped you. Lynch and Kane lurk the back streets, trying to avoid any kind of police. Kane even questions if Glazer is onto them, which Lynch responds in complete silence. Nearby, you can find, unironically, the most contempt man in any video game ever. You can literally draw a gun on him and he just slowly walks away, knowing that if you pull the trigger, he's had a valuable life. We all strive to be this man. Lynch wants to go to Zhu's apartment to evacuate her as soon as possible, knowing any tension he has with Shang-Chi will come straight onto her. She'll just be a tool to hurt Lynch. You see some patrol cops interrogating locals until you interrupt. And after, all that's left is a single cop who surrenders to you, dropping his gun. This is the only cop that surrenders in the entire game. The genius thing is, if your partner in game is AI, he'll just gun down the cop regardless. The only reason I'm talking about this is because it reveals that he had an exact replica of the gun he just surrendered to you. I'm sure this was an oversight, like a sidearm I'd understand, but an exact copy of the gun he just had. Getting onto a crowded main street, this is one of the few instances where you see civilians acting casual before a gunfight. It's almost like there's a sense of normalcy before everything kicks off. People getting out of their cars, locking up shops for the evening. It seems almost peaceful. That is until I walked past a specific trigger line, making everyone suddenly shit themselves and run away even though there was nothing behind me, and no one seemed to care that I had a gun in my hand up until now. Eventually the police show up, and I think this interaction is the most Dog Days moment in the entire game. I shot one of the cops, who started bleeding out. A random civilian ran through his head, clipping into him, and then the cop just ragdolls. There's so many cops, they've practically replaced all the civilians, pouring out into the streets. There's some classic video game explodey barrels inside a store. Instinct would tell you to shoot them, and when you do, this happens. I love how the explosion is so strong, it artifacts the camera footage and even corrupts the audio. It's a great effect that reminds you everything is being recorded. There's even a DVD shop opposite the store where you can find a copy of Hitman Blood Money. Also, off note, but does anyone remember like DVD stores being a thing? I mean, they still are, but looking online, there's only about 300 million DVDs expected to be sold this year, as opposed to the 2 billion sold leading up to 2010, the year this game came out. A lot of games I play are usually in a fictional fantasy setting that's timeless, but Dog Days, you really do feel like you're trapped in an era of the late 2000s. And the fact I talk about the late 2000s like it was ages ago is truly terrifying. Finally, escaping the streets, you get to an open construction yard. The few parts of Shanghai that aren't dense and overcrowded. You can see the high-rise towers, the trading hubs, leaning over the overcrowded suburbs, dotted with neon advertising. Honestly, as ugly as the game tends to be, scenes like this are beautiful. Usually when you're in the streets, you'll have cars blockading areas you're not meant to go to. And you can see off in the distance, the streets are just a literal JPEG of the city to save resources. But again, there's something beautiful about this simplicity. It reminds me of that time when I was playing Ravenholm in Half-Life 2. The trees and sky off in the distance were just a literal box that you could shoot at. Basically, what I'm saying is the game was so dated that you could put bullet holes into the sky. The next segment never made much sense to me, even now. After gunning down some riot police before reaching Zoo's apartment, there's a final confrontation with some snipers, and Kane gives the hint that you can sneak past them.
Right there. That's our apartment. Get down! Shit!
We can sneak by them. Just don't do anything irrational.
Now, I've played this part about 10 times, and I do want to say, you can never sneak past them. I thought I could just wait for them to pass by, but it seems after a certain trigger line the enemies walk over, they just instantly know where you are. I thought, okay, if the game wants me to play stealthy, how about I try and shoot the lights out with my silenced SMG? Nope, they hear that and spot me instantly. I even tried actively sneaking past them, and when I go past the trigger line that they do, they again know where I am. Keep in mind, this is the only time in the game where stealth is hinted at as a mechanic. It's almost like this was some part that the devs wanted to expand on, but just never did. Even in co-op, me and a friend waited at the very start of the area, but after a specific trigger, they just become omnipresent and know where we are. Yep, they just instantly knew where we were.
Sue? Oh, Glazer. No, it's just expecting Sue to... What do you mean trying to hide? No, we're cool. Okay, the deal's tomorrow.
Getting to Zoo's apartment, there's a gang that's already arrived waiting for you. Working your way upstairs, you have to separate from Kane. I remember this being used sometimes in Gears of War and, you know, other co-op games, where you're separated from your partner for a brief section of gameplay. In reality, all it really does is make the game harder, because if one of you dies, you can't revive the other, so you both die. That would be the case, but here in single player, if you die, it's an instant game over, so it changes nothing. Also, the fact that your AI partner is completely invincible, able to eat several hundred pounds of lead, only to fall over and take absolutely no damage and never need to be revived. When they reach Zoo's apartment, the door is already broken down.
Sue! Where are you? Sue! God damn it!
We gotta go. Leave the country. This fucking Shang-Chi, whatever the fuck he owns the police, he owns Sing. We are way over our heads here.
No, I'm not going anywhere without Sue! She can't be far!
Listen to me, Lynch. If you love this woman, you stay the fuck away.
This is not happening!
After the cutscene, you get knocked to the floor by a squad sent to kill you. I assume you're knocked down so they can spawn in. Like, not even joking, I'm going through this footage frame by frame, and you can see the exact millisecond that they all suddenly appear, using the same bullpup SMGs the SWAT team used. It's pretty much confirmation that the cops are on Shang-Chi's payroll. You'll eventually find Zhu, who's made her way to the opposite balcony. You'll have to kill anyone that tries to get near and kidnap her. Alternatively, you could just watch her get yoinked, and she falls off, which leads to her instantly ragdolling and bouncing on the concrete. Every time you're about to rescue her, she gets jumped by more gang members, until Singh himself shows up and has Zhu hostage. Kane reckons he can get a shot at Singh, but surrounded, Lynch does the only thing he can think of.
Tell him to let her go. Trust me. Kane, I'm sorry.
I laughed at this originally. There are so many games where it takes 50 rounds to kill someone, but in a cutscene they die in a single shot. But here, it actually felt kind of realistic to the game. If the cutscene ended and we had to shoot our way out, and with how close enemies are, I can't actually guarantee that I would have made it out alive.
Get the fuck off of me! Don't let them hurt me! Please, Lynch, make them stop! Bitch, Leia! No! Leave her alone! I said leave her alone! Tell them to stop! Please!
The loading screen for this chapter is probably the most unsettling in the entire game. When Lynch wakes up, he's covered in cuts, bleeding in a dumpster, and completely naked. Thankfully, the cameraman actually censors out the genitals, so, you know, I can get paid for making this video. You need to follow Kane's screams to find him, and when you do, you can get the jump on Singh and kill him. There's no boss fight, quick time event, or hordes of enemies. You just quickly tackle him to the ground and choke him out. Both of you are alive, but it's too late for Zhu, who was brutally murdered by Singh, which calls back to what Glazer said earlier.
And he's a genius with a knife, if you know what I mean.
Also, I'm not sure if this is a bug or not, but Zhu still blinks if you look down at her body. Lynch doesn't want to talk about Zhu. He just wants to do the gun deal and get out of China with Kane. He's lost everything, and his only reason to stay has been pulled away from him. There's no cutscene of Kane consoling Lynch or making sure he's okay. There's too much going on too quickly for a sit-down like that to happen. Instead, this is pretty much the only time it's acknowledged.
No!
This is when Lynch's mental illness gets the better of him. He's been worn down and broken, and doesn't have the mental aptitude like Kane to just block everything out. And this exchange during a gunfight is really telling that he's losing it.
Lynch! Don't lose it! Shit! I don't fucking care! I'm fucking naked! People screaming, shooting, scary! Gotta keep going!
But hey, at least one guy dropped the Desert Eagle we used in the very first level, and this is the only time we'll ever see it ever again. The ironic part about this game is in Dead Men, Kane was the one dragging Lynch into his own personal hell, beefing with the Seven. Lynch was just a watchdog, but now the roles are reversed, with Lynch being the instigator. It really doesn't matter who shot Shang-Chi's daughter. It was Lynch who wanted to push the guy and teach the gang a lesson. Kane just wanted to go back to his hotel. This culminates with Lynch having a mental breakdown and Kane having to console him.
Fuck!
Lynch, I need you to calm down.
Go fuck yourself, Kane! Fuck off home! That's what you want? They killed Sue.
I'm sorry, okay? We can get out of here.
They ain't gonna fucking get away with this.
Yes, they are. The dead don't care. Believe me. I know. Look, I want out. But I need to steal. I need to do this for my daughter. And then no more. This is my last job.
Then fucking go!
Lynch, Shang-Chi is not gonna stop. Now we need to be on that boat. And I ain't leaving empty-handed. Not now. This is all I got. And I need your help. Are you with me?
It's weird for a video game to have your AI partner be the one to take control. We've all played as anti-heroes in video games, but at the minute, you're playing as a helpless schizophrenic having a complete